Imagine this for a second. You wake up on a Monday morning, rush to work, and spend the whole week trading your time for a paycheck. Your rent, your bills, your groceries, everything depends on that single paycheck. Now think about this. What happens if that one paycheck stops? Scary, right? But here's the twist. On the other side of the world, there's a man named David. Years ago, he also depended on just one salary. But then he learned a millionaire's secret. Never rely on one stream of income. So, David slowly built different money channels. First, his job paid him. Then, he invested in a small business. Later, he bought a rental property, earned dividends from stocks, and even wrote a short ebook that kept selling online. Today, while most people fear losing their jobs, David sleeps peacefully because money doesn't come from one door, it flows in from 7 different directions. That's the power of multiple income streams. And in this audiobook, we're going to uncover those 7 streams of income that millionaires rely on, step by step, in a practical, human way. So let's begin. Stream 1, earned income, the foundation. Think back to your very first job. Maybe it was waiting tables, maybe working at a call center, or maybe your first corporate 9-to-5. Remember how exciting that very first paycheck felt? You held it in your hands and thought, wow, I earned this with my own hard work. That, my friend, is earned income. The very first stream of income almost everyone starts with. It's the money you receive by directly trading your time, skills, and effort for cash. You show up, you work, you get paid. Simple. Doctors, teachers, engineers, freelancers, consultants all rely on earned income. Now here's the thing. Earned income is important, but it's also the most fragile stream. Why? Because it's fully dependent on you. If you stop working, the income stops too. If you get sick, if you lose your job, if your company downsizes, you're left with nothing. Let me share a quick example. Meet Sarah, a talented graphic designer. For years, she lived paycheck to paycheck, earning $4,000 a month. Life was stable, but deep down she knew one wrong step and everything could collapse. Then the 2020 pandemic hit. Her company shut down and suddenly her only stream, her earned income, dried up overnight. That's the danger of relying on just one stream. But here's the good news. Earned income is not useless. It's actually the foundation. Millionaires start here too, but they don't stop. They use their earned income as the seed money to build other streams. Think of it like planting seeds in a garden. Your salary is the first seed. You water it, nurture it, and then use it to grow other plants that later feed you. So, while you may feel stuck in a job right now, remember, this stream is just the beginning of your journey, not the end. The key is learning how to convert that active income into something bigger, something that works even when you don't. Stream 2, profit income, business ownership. Close your eyes for a moment and picture this. You walk into a small coffee shop on a busy street. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee fills the air. Behind the counter, a young barista is working hard, taking orders, making lattes, cleaning tables. At the end of the month, she takes home her paycheck. That's earned income. But just a few steps away, sitting near the window, is the owner of that very same shop. She isn't making coffee, she isn't serving customers, yet every sale, every cappuccino, every slice of cake sold puts money into her pocket. That, my friend, is profit income, money that comes from owning a business. Here's the truth. Millionaires understand one thing very clearly. You'll never get truly wealthy by only working for someone else. Yes, jobs provide stability, but businesses create freedom. Profit income is what happens when you stop being the worker and start being the owner. Let's take an example. Imagine John, a software engineer. For years, he worked hard at his 9-to-5 job. Then one day, he decided to create a small app on the side. At first, it earned him only a few $100s a month. But slowly, as more people downloaded it, his monthly profit grew. $1,000, $5,000, even $20,000. Eventually, the profit from his app was more than his salary. That's when John realized he was no longer just an employee, he was an owner. Profit income is powerful because it scales. If you're self-employed, a freelancer, consultant, or even a shopkeeper, you're still trading time for money. But the moment you build systems, hire people, or sell products that work for you even when you're not there, that's when profit income truly starts flowing. Think of it like this.
Earned income is rowing a boat with your own hands. Profit income is building a boat with sails. Once the wind catches, you move forward without exhausting yourself. Of course, building a business isn't easy. It takes courage, planning, and persistence. But this is one stream millionaires never ignore because it turns limited effort into unlimited growth. Stream 3. Interest income, the power of lending saving. Let me tell you a short story. A few years ago, Michael, a middle-class father, loaned $10,000 to his cousin who wanted to start a small delivery business. They agreed on a simple deal. Michael would earn 8% annual interest until the loan was repaid. Now, Michael wasn't running the business. He wasn't driving trucks. He wasn't managing deliveries, yet every year, like clockwork, money quietly flowed back to him as interest. That's the magic of interest income. It's money you earn simply by lending your capital, whether to banks, people, or institutions. In other words, your money starts working for you instead of you always working for money. Think about it. When you put money in a fixed deposit, when you invest in government bonds, or even when you lend through peer-to-peer platforms, you're opening the door to interest income. It may not make you a millionaire overnight, but it plants seeds of stability and steady growth. Here's a simple analogy. Imagine you have a golden goose. Instead of eating the goose, you let it lay eggs for you year after year. That's what interest income is. It's the golden eggs from money you already own. Now you might ask, but isn't interest income small? Just a few percent here and there? True, if you start small, the numbers look tiny. But millionaires play the long game. They use interest income not as their main wealth builder, but as a stabilizer, a safe and predictable stream. And when the principal amount is big enough, even a small percentage becomes massive. For example, 5% interest on $1 million is $50,000 a year for doing nothing. Another perspective. While the poor and middle class are busy paying interest on credit cards and loans, the wealthy are earning interest by lending money. That's the mindset shift. So the takeaway? Even if you start small, never underestimate interest income. Think of it as your money's rent. You let others use it and they pay you for the privilege. Stream 4, dividend income, money from companies you own. Picture this. You buy a tiny sapling and plant it in your backyard. For months, nothing happens. You water it, protect it, give it sunlight. Then one day, that tree starts giving you fruits. Every season, without fail, those fruits keep coming, even though you're not planting again and again. That's exactly how dividend income works. When you buy shares of a company, you're not just investing, you're actually becoming a partial owner of that company. And many companies, as a way of sharing their profits, give back a portion of earnings to shareholders. This payout is called a dividend. It's like the fruits of that tree. You own the tree, the company, and the fruits, dividends, arrive regularly, even when you're not working. Let me give you a real-life example. Sarah, a school teacher, decided to invest $200 every month in dividend-paying stocks. At first, the income was laughably small, maybe just $10 in a quarter. But she stayed consistent. 10 years later, her investments grew so much that she started receiving over $500 a month in dividends, almost like an extra paycheck. And here's the best part. She didn't have to quit her job. She didn't have to open a business. The companies she invested in were doing the hard work, and she was simply reaping the rewards. Millionaires love dividend income because it's true passive income. You don't manage employees, you don't take customer calls, you just collect your share of profits because you're an owner. Now, a quick analogy. Owning dividend stocks is like being part of a bakery. You don't bake the bread, you don't sell it, but since you own a piece of the bakery, every time it makes a profit, a slice of that bread comes to your table. Of course, the trick is choosing the right companies, stable, profitable, long-term businesses. Millionaires don't gamble here. They treat dividend-paying companies as steady cash flow machines. So, while interest income is like rent on your money, dividend income is like profit from businesses you quietly own. Both flow to you without demanding your daily sweat. Stream 5. Rental income, the power of real estate. Let's imagine two friends, Alex and Mark. Both work in the same company, both earn about the same salary. Alex spends most of his paycheck on lifestyle. New phone, dinners, vacations. Mark, on the other hand, saves carefully for a few years and buys a small 2-bedroom apartment. Fast forward 10 years. Alex is still working 9 to 5, still relying on his single paycheck. Mark? He's collecting rent every month from his apartment, enough to cover his mortgage and still leave some extra cash in his pocket. One smart move completely changed his financial future. That's the beauty of rental income. You own a property, someone else lives or works there, and they pay you regularly. The tenant pays rent, which becomes your steady cash flow. Unlike earned income, this doesn't stop if you fall sick or take a vacation. The property keeps paying you. Here's the real power. Property can appreciate in value over time. That means not only do you earn monthly rent, but years later you can sell the property for a much higher price. It's like enjoying the fruits every month and one day selling the entire tree for a fortune. Take this simple example. Maria bought a small house for $100,000. She rented it out for $800 a month. Over 15 years, she collected over $140,000 in rent, more than the house's original price. And then she sold it for $220,000. That's double benefit, monthly income plus capital gain. Millionaires love rental income because it's reliable and people always need a place to live, a shop to sell from, or an office to work in. As long as your property is in the right location, it can provide steady income for decades. Of course, being a landlord has challenges, maintenance, vacancies, repairs. But here's the difference. Millionaires don't see those as problems, they see them as part of the system. Some even hire property managers to handle everything while they just collect checks. So, if earned income is your job, profit income is your business, dividend income is your share of a company, then rental income is your personal ATM machine installed inside a building you own. Stream 6. Capital gains income. Buying low, selling high. Have you ever bought something cheap and later realized its value had skyrocketed? Maybe you bought an old comic book for a few dollars as a kid, and years later discovered it's worth hundreds. Or maybe you purchased land in a developing area, and now it's a booming neighborhood. That profit, the difference between what you paid and what you sold it for, is called capital gains income. Capital gains are created when you buy an asset at a lower price and sell it at a higher one. It could be real estate, stocks, gold, art, or even modern-day assets like cryptocurrency. Millionaires love this stream because it can sometimes generate massive wealth in a single move. Take an example. Emma bought 100 shares of a tech company at $10 each, $1,000 total. 5 years later, the company became a giant, and the stock price rose to $100 per share. Emma sold her shares for $10,000. She didn't work extra hours, she didn't start a business, she just held on to a smart investment. That $9,000 profit was her capital gains income. But here's the catch. While capital gains can be extremely rewarding, they also involve risk. The same stock that rises can fall. The same property that appreciates can stagnate. That's why millionaires don't treat capital gains as gambling. They study, research, and hold long-term. Think of capital gains like planting bamboo. For years, it seems like nothing is happening. The bamboo barely grows. But once it takes root, it shoots up several feet in a matter of weeks. Similarly, you might hold an asset for years without seeing much change. But when the right time comes, its value can explode. Another angle. Unlike rental or dividend income that pay you regularly, capital gains usually come in lumps, big one-time profits. That's why the rich combine it with other steady streams so they enjoy both stability and big wins. So, the lesson? Don't ignore opportunities to buy valuable assets when they're affordable. Millionaires always keep an eye on undervalued treasures because they know one smart sale can change their financial future. Stream 7. Royalty income. Get paid while you sleep. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. It's midnight. The world is asleep. You're dreaming peacefully. And while you're resting, your bank account just received money. How? Because somewhere someone bought a song you wrote, a book you published, or used a patent you created. That magical stream is called royalty income. Royalties are payments you earn for your ideas, creations, or intellectual property. Unlike earned income, you don't trade hours for dollars here. You create something once, and then it keeps paying you over and over again. Let's take a real example. Think of J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter. She wrote those books decades ago, but even today, every time a copy is sold, she earns royalties. Musicians like Taylor Swift or the Beatles' estate earn royalties every time their songs are streamed or played. Even inventors, like the person who patented the barcode scanner, get paid every time their creation is used. But here's the exciting part. Royalties aren't just for big celebrities or scientists. Today, with the internet, anyone can build royalty income. Write an ebook, create stock photos, design digital products, build an online course, or even license a piece of software, you can earn royalties. Here's a simple analogy. Royalties are like setting up a vending machine. You fill it once with your product, place it in the right location, and every time someone buys from it, you get money, even when you're not there. Millionaires love royalty income because it's the purest form of money while you sleep. Unlike rental properties that need maintenance or businesses that need employees, royalties don't demand ongoing effort. They're born from creativity, knowledge, and innovation. The catch? It requires upfront work and imagination. You must create something valuable once, but then it can reward you for years, even a lifetime. So, if you've got a talent, a skill, or an idea, don't underestimate it. Package it, protect it, and let it pay you again and again. Grand conclusion. Wisdom to wealth. So now you know the truth. Millionaires don't rely on one stream of income. They build 7 powerful streams: earned, profit, interest, dividends, rental, capital gains, and royalties. Some streams give stability, some create growth, and some even let you earn while you sleep. The wisdom is simple. Don't depend on a single paycheck. Start small, but start today. Use what you already have, your job, your savings, your skills, and slowly build more streams. Because real wealth isn't about working harder, it's about making money flow from different directions. And if you want more such wisdom that can truly transform into wealth, then make sure you subscribe to my channel, Wisdom to Wealth. This is your space to learn, grow, and create the financial freedom you deserve. So take action today. Your journey from wisdom to wealth begins now.